Hey everybody, welcome to the RoadMap podcast. In this episode, we've got Greg and Andrew joining us here. We're going to get to know them a little bit more, hear their stories, what attracted them to FFL, why they moved out of the industry that they were very successful in, and what's got them so excited about it. So I'm looking forward to getting to know them a little bit better. Stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Greg, how's it going today, brother?
It's going awesome.
Awesome, man. So we got Greg Wolf here. We're going to start off by getting his story a little bit. Greg, car sales, long time, a lot of experience, top producer, moving up there. Crazy story behind that. I don't know if we're going to get into all of that this time, but if you could give everyone 2-3 minutes of a little bit of your background, especially professionally, and what you've been doing for the last couple of years.
For sure. So started in the automotive industry, selling cars, 2017. Got in, jumped in head first, never sold anything. Got excited about it because it was a thrilling type of job.
High octane.
High octane. Literally. Got some success and just progressively started selling more and more families, being able to help out. Was able to work at a couple different dealerships, so that was kind of cool. Worked in Southern Indiana, worked in Indianapolis, had a pretty big dealership there. And then was able to move to the South Bend area and sell for quite a long time.
Nice.
There, South Bend.
Love it. Okay. And then did you move up into finance more recently, right? From there? Because is that kind of the career path there?
Yep. So they have some defined steps if you want to move up, and that would be the next one. So sell. Some guys say, hey, they like the freedom of selling, but then there's only, you're kind of stuck in that way. I wanted to continually grow and move past even that step into the next step is kind of what I was looking for. So finance was that next step, just to learn what that side of the business looked like. So moved into that role, was in that space for about 2.5 years.
Love it.
In finance, helping people, different banks get their financing set up after they had actually purchased the car.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then obviously you were crushing it there.
Yeah.
And then eventually, in that time, you heard about Family First a while back. Tell us a little bit about how you heard about it and kind of where that
story.
Where that came from.
So car industry, ton of hours, late nights. People are calling at all times. They don't care. Customers, but you're there to help them, so you're doing it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big cliche about the car industry. It's like, hey, you gotta kind of give up everything you have to be totally successful.
Yeah, and you got to dive all in. You got to buy all the way in. Is guys that are half in, half out, they're not as successful because they didn't buy into it. So I bought in all the way. So helping people nonstop, late hours, working late. I have a wife, 3 beautiful kids, and takes a lot of time away from them. Yeah, right. 100%. So my wife was actually talking to my sister and. My sister telling her about my schedule, probably, griping and complaining about Greg's not home, he's not here to help me, the typical stuff. Maybe it was one of those days where she just was venting a little bit. Yeah. And my sister had said, hey, I seen this post on Facebook of a friend that I went to school with. She sells life insurance, and she's making a lot of money. And she threw out a crazy number, $200,000 is what she's making. And I'm like, this is the story that's told to me the next day because my wife had a whole plan of how she was going to. I'm quitting tomorrow and I'm going to start, right? So this is about a year ago, if we're getting context all the way. So about a year ago, Chelsea, I get home from work and she says, hey, I talked to your sister. I got a new idea for you. You're going to we got it. You're going to be able to be here all the time. And I said,
so you get home from a long day of car sales and your wife tells you, hey, you're actually going to do this. Surprise.
I've got to figure it out, right?
Love it. So I'm sure you loved that.
Oh, yeah. Mind you, I'm bought all the way in on the car. I have a whole 5-year plan. Like I need this, and this. I'm working very, very hard to achieve it. So, anyway, she tells me, hey, your sister said this girl is making a bunch of money. And I think you should do it. And I was like, okay, first off, she's not making that kind of money. That doesn't exist. That's not a real thing.
Too good to be true.
It's not. It's just, I know Mindy from school too. I went to school with her. She doesn't make that kind of money. And but I said, hey, I got a good idea. Why don't you do it? And so you tell me if it works.
That part.
I'm not gonna tell you.
Go for it. I'm not stopping you.
Right. So at the time, my wife is a nurse, very, very good nurse. Went to school for nursing.
That's not easy.
That's not an easy job.
That's a lot of work to get
there.
there.
A lot of hard work, a lot of people that you deal with and you help out and shit. So she has that serving spirit within her.
Yeah.
But we have 2 young kids, and so she was more or less working a day just to get out of the house. So that job wasn't really something that we were looking for as far as income. So when it came to her like leaving that job and moving on to potentially try this, it was pretty an easy switch because again of what she was already doing. So I suggested for her right away, hey, why don't you try it? So that was about a year ago from where we're at right now. So about a year from in 2021.
And then how did that progress from? Yeah, go ahead, Chelsea. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. You can check it out. I'm not gonna. Did she get into it?
Yeah, so we had a Zoom call with Mindy. Me and Chelsea were on the call. Mindy's telling me a little bit about it. I'm still very skeptical of everything. Not really like, I think it'd be great for you. let's see if it works. Like, it'd be great to have a little bit of extra money. Let's try to do that. Mind you, I'm in my path, and it's a very good path. It's a very successful. It's very
it's proven. Yeah.
Proven. It's not very low risk, right? So it's, hey, do this, this, and this, and you can make X, X, and X. So very safe type of work. So she says, hey, yeah, I'll try it. I'm gonna prove you wrong. Basically, was her mentality this whole time. So she gets all the pre-licensing done, or pre-licensing, I say gets it done. When I say getting it done, she took 6 months to get her to do her pre-licensing. Skipping a little bit forward. When I did my pre-licensing, I did it in about 3 days, and then I asked her, I was like, how long? And then there was a little thing that said you had to pay extra if you weren't complete at a certain time. I was like, did we pay extra to like, extend this out?
Only like 5 times.
Hundreds of dollars. Yeah. She's like, yeah, I think I did it. So yeah, she took a little bit of time to actually do it, but got done through pre-licensing. Mm-hmm. Summer came. She likes summer. So we both decided, hey, why don't you technically... It was a big thing for her because she likes the hospital. It was another safe thing. So she didn't really want to give that up. She didn't know, like, hey, should I completely, like, stop working at the hospital? Is that something that would make sense for me to do? So she made the commitment, like, hey, when the girls go back to school in the fall, I'll give this some attention, some real attention, and dive into it. So she did probably, September, October, bought in. For her starting.
And had she ever done sales before? Or because you mentioned her being a nurse.
Yeah, zero sales experience. Only sales that she got was me at home and teaching her what the conversation that I had throughout my day. And
nice, sure. Because you were into sales hardcore at that point for years.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't do anything crazy here. Sales is sales, helping people better their situation is the same no matter what industry you're in.
Sure.
So you're over there coaching her in sales. I'm sure she's loving that.
So I had every idea of how she should be doing it, right? So, but not, I want her to do it, not me.
Sure.
But she appreciated a little bit of help and feedback, especially in the beginning, on hey, I had this situation. What do you think would be good, and that type of thing. So we worked together in that.
Yeah, and then she started seeing some deposits, helping some families.
Yeah.
And then you start noticing, wait a second.
Those as well.
Yeah.
Because, we're that type of couple. We share. So
100%.
I see in that and noticing, hey, my deposits are here. Your deposits are here. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then,
That's crazy. That's crazy. So you're putting in 70 plus hours a week in the car dealership.
Yep.
She's a mom of 3. Never been in sales, working from home.
So it's amplified even, me and Andrew talk about this, it was amplified in finance because the finance managers are the last people to leave, right? So you're there no matter what, somebody buys a car, right? So that transaction's done. Yeah. Well, now they still have to get financed and it may be 8, 9 o'clock, even 10 o'clock till they sign their last document and then they leave. And then you get to lock the doors and walk out the door. So you're talking,
fun.
They got to get the car delivered. Even after the papers are signed, you're the person who locks the doors, so you have to make sure. So I mean, it's
be the first person there the next day because you're the manager. You're part of yours on the
first person to unlock everything too.
So that's right.
So commitment.
That's crazy.
You have to have that mindset. You have to be all the way bought in for that type of commitment to even work. So
and it makes sense if we didn't exist.
Correct.
Right? And then you start seeing her working a third
Well, yeah.
if that, of
So
the time that
let's
you're putting
go
in.
through her schedule.
Yeah.
She decided, hey, we have a young child. I don't want to just totally put that onto daycare. Obviously, we have good income, but I still want to be involved in her life. When she goes to school, maybe I can pick up more time. So I'm going to do this for 2 days a week. And Mindy told her, absolutely not, you can't do it 2 days. You got to do it at least 3 days. She's like, well, I can do it too. So, so she did it too. She just stuck with it. So she literally worked 1 day, made calls, the next days ran appointments. And in 2 days, and collectively, in the beginning too, I would see, because some of those days I'd be off, calls, in the morning, 2-3 hours, maybe take a little bit of a 2-hour break, a long lunch, and maybe work for another 2 hours. So collectively, the day that she's working, 5 hours total of work. And then the next day, appointments, she'd have 7 to 10 appointments spaced out throughout the day. And sometimes they'd show, sometimes they wouldn't, maybe 5 would. So throughout that day, maybe 5, 6, 7 hours of work. So we're talking about maybe 12 hours. And to me, that's 1 day, right? I'm working a 12-hour day. Right. So she's doing 12 hours in 2 days. And then the deposit difference was evident. So
that's crazy. So now you start waking up to, hey, this might not be the crazy scam, too good to be true thing that I originally thought it would.
Right.
So then how do we get from your wife working a little bit here and there, starting to validate it, to you deciding, hey, I'm actually going to give up this career path that I've been solely bought in on full force and just make that pivot?
Right.
What changed your mind there, or what made you decide that?
And that was a huge aha moment. People go through those in life.
Yeah.
So for me, she was having success, and I was all for her having success. I was coaching her. I was proud of her. I want you to keep doing this. Know that what my goals and what my dreams are over here. But I want you to do as much as you can over there.
Right.
I'm going to support you through the whole thing, though, right? So the ups, the downs, I'm here for you. But that's what you're going to do. It's great, but here's the path that I want to do. So in that support, I told her, hey, I will go with you to FFL Family First Life has a annual convention.
Yeah.
I'm going to support you. I'm going to go there with you. Check it out with you. That way, you're not going there by yourself. It's in Miami. So I went with her. So I went to Miami, fully expecting, hey, this is going to be kind of like a getaway from work, a vacation from
Miami in February when you live in Indiana is not a bad deal. Yeah,
bad deal, right?
Seriously.
Hey, take a couple days, get some sun, check out the convention with her. Don't even know what to really expect.
Sure.
Look it up a little bit, kind of see who's speaking. That's pretty cool. Some speakers, things like that. And then get there first day and hear some speaking, hear some people going, talking about the business, seeing who's around me. I'm taking notes because that's how I am no matter where I'm at, trying to soak up as much as I can. And day one comes, day two comes, I'm very intently kind of
you're kind of getting closer to the edge of your seat. Yeah.
Wait a minute. So I'm looking for, hey, at this point, I want to see, because there's a lot of people and they're talking about a lot of crazy numbers, a lot of crazy money, but there's a lot of people doing this. What's so different from that person than me is what my mind was going through. So processing that, but I'm all in. But again, I'm all in the sense of I'm going to find where the hole is, where the screen's at.
Yep. You're looking for the catch.
That's where I'm at.
Yep.
Sorry. So I'm going to figure that out. Let me do that. And then I can tell her, hey, keep doing this because it's real. You're making some money. But again, that's for you.
This is why
I'm going to stay here and be safe for our money, for our family. That way we're secure and all that. So day 2 happens. Day 3 happens. And me and you had a dinner on day 2, I believe. Yeah. And after that, totally went to the convention, listened to it, and I sat there after one of the sessions and I told Chelsea, I'm in.
That's crazy.
I'm in. And she wasn't expecting for me to do that then. Like she was hoping, right? That was her ultimate prove you wrong type of scenario right? that she gets to hold and will always have. Yeah. But yeah, it was there at the convention, day 3, made a mental switch and said, I'm in. The lifestyle that this can provide and that was the biggest thing. Hey, my lifestyle is solely this, and I'm gone. I'm missing things. I'm not available. I'm in this. I'm in a turn for an hour is what you call when you're signing somebody up. And I can't even be like, maybe if they called the hard line and said it was an emergency, they could get to me, but can't be reached by any means.
Sure.
And I said, really, the ultimate goal is to have big success. The timeline that it would take me to get there, and I believe in myself that I could get there, would have been 15, 20 years.
Wow.
All while I have young kids.
Yeah.
And how much have I missed? And how much have I taken away from my wife?
Absolutely.
And the growth that me and her and our relationship could have. So that was the biggest thing for me, seeing these people talk about, hey, I'm able to have that family balance. I'm able to have a super successful family life, business life, you know, the financial success. And then still, one of the biggest things that one of the guys said is, this business is a business where you can literally change people's lives and you can help them. Nobody's ever mad when a check comes to them in their darkest times and they're able to say, hey, that's one less thing I have to worry about.
So powerful.
So the product that I was like, hey, I'm selling something right now. Cars are great. People need cars. They got to commute. It's a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing to sell. It's not like a knockoff gimmick type of sale.
Right. No, it's definitely necessity.
It's sales. It's a necessity. But this is a real necessity, right? This is something that I'm like, man, if somebody has this, what could it do for generations, right? To not have to, because the downward spiral, if you don't have it, if you look at it in that way, is bad. So that made me even more like, hey, let alone the financial things, but what could you do to help the people
100%.
and what that brings? And that to me was like, hey, I'm in.
That's huge, man. It's one of the most unique things about what we do here in this business is everyone has to be helped to win. You know, and that's how corporate wanted it. That's how we're structured, and that's such a unique thing for where we're at in this industry, this space with FFL is it has to be great for the client, has to be great for the agent,
right?
And it can't hurt corporate, and no one else thinks like that.
Right.
No one else is structured like that.
Right.
You know, it's got to be top down. It's got to make everyone money at the top, and it's got to make corporate happy, and everything has to be just right. And hey, treat the client right.
Sure.
And hey, we're going to change your commission structure, and we're going to do this and that.
Right.
And you kind of get tossed to the side in favor of corporate, and then maybe the client.
Right.
And then the agent or, you know, the employee or whatever is just kind of, hey, we'll help you if we can. We'll throw you a bone.
Sure.
And that's not how it is here. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
No,
and to clarify for the people out there, because we were talking a little bit about, you know, Chelsea working, you know, very part-time and just kind of giving it a go. But that's really not, I wouldn't say that's the norm here, but how you can get to that kind of schedule is so much quicker. Like you're over here talking about 15, 20 years and you still have to work at that point. You just might not have to be 12-hour days, first one in, last one out.
100%. Right. So you're still, the grind would still exist all the way through that, and it would still exist then, just maybe at a percentage less.
Yeah. And then you come here and it's like, man, if you put that same level of effort here, the window is not even a fraction of that.
Sure.
Right.
And the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that's
to show into the office.
You hear that in sales, right? So that's a generic thing. Mm-hmm. But that is a real
uncapped
real
commissions.
Uncapped. Right. It just is.
But even like in our industry, you hear that like, oh yeah, you can make whatever you want. Sure. Right. But there's always going to be a limit.
Oh, by the way, there's no cars to sell your clients anymore.
What are we doing? For real.
Yeah, 100%. But then you look at our industry and you take into account that we're closing in on 400 million Americans. Mm-hmm. You can help any one of them that's between 18 to 89 years old.
Sure.
Statistically, people buy life insurance 8 times throughout their life.
Right.
And you can be anywhere in the world selling anyone that's a citizen or a resident.
Right.
And the flexibility there, you're not showing up in a suit and tie every day from 9 to 10, 11.
Sure. I'm going to miss my suit and ties. I'm not going to.
Yeah, right. We'll have to figure out, we'll donate it or something.
Right.
I'll just wear the
auction
top
it
half
off in a year. Exactly. But yeah, the flexibility there to where you can put in that same schedule but be more available.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you need 2 hours in the afternoon to go pick up your kid, structure that in. And then work another 10 hours outside of that or whatever. It's so flexible to be able to pursue what you want to pursue. So when we find guys like you guys that are all in, looking to change yours and your family's lives and want to help people along the way, and we show you what this is, it's just it's mind blowing, and you get that too good to be true feeling because it's like, no, I can't be that wrong.
Right.
I can't. There's
I've been
no
wrong
way.
for this long.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. No, that's incredible. So then, putting the bookend on your story now, you're at the convention. You're like, wow, I can't find the catch. So, and I think my opinion is the catch is hard work. So if you're already used to hard work, you're like, oh, that's it?
Right.
You mean I just have to work hard? Got it.
That sucks.
Okay, yeah. Well. So you realize that that's the only catch. And so you decide I'm all in. But then now we get to meet guys like Andrew and so many others that you're telling about this. And I feel like you're seeing this business at a whole elevated level that normally takes guys like me months or if not years to really understand. So what are you seeing about FFL that's causing you to be like, hey, I know some guys?
Yeah. So again, I care about people. I'm a very team camaraderie. Like that's who I am to my core. I have a lot of friend groups. Like, so that I just love being around people. I love hanging out. I have a lot of friends. So to me, I thought, and what rang true to at convention is a lot of people said, hey, don't do what we did. And don't think you have to figure it out first. There's a team here that wants to help you along with whoever you bring with you. So that was something huge for me to say, hey, okay, let me not do what they did. I'm going to listen to that advice. Yeah. And then also in the meantime, if you treat it as a business, treat it that way, right?
Yeah.
Treat it as a business way. So one, I thought something else that somebody said was, don't rob somebody else of the opportunity that you're so excited about. Yeah. Why not share it with them? Let them understand, hey, what this actually is and how their life can be changed. It'd be pretty selfish of you as a friend that you call yourself if you're keeping this to yourself because, this is what you can provide for your family. You're not sharing it and not doing that. Right. So to me, it was a no-brainer to I came back almost probably too excited maybe. And I was just like, hey, you guys, right?
Yeah.
So 100%. All my closest friends, let them know, hey, this is what it is. And again, it came to a huge shock because within a week, I've dedicated 5 years to this plan, and then within a week, I can make that split decision to not do that. So that was, and this came to me a year ago. To them, I'm just telling them right now, and I'm like, hey guys, come on, what are you talking about? Right. So that was hard for me to kind of understand. Hey, maybe I do need to understand that it may take, other people's process may take a little bit longer. Sure. But again, I hope that I'm here and I am going to be here for any of those, because that's who I am. I want people to have that same type of aha moment that I had of, hey, this is the freedom that you can have in life and live and have.
100%, yeah. And I would assume that since you had given so much of your life and time and dedication and sacrificed so much where you were, that they sent you off with a warm welcome, a hug, and a care package, right?
Sure, not exactly. Not quite. However, it's the car business, so turnover is a real thing. I've seen it in my time that I was there several different times. So I was expecting it. If it got out there, that's where I was like, hey, hush, hush, don't want people knowing because if I do, then I'm gone. So
sure enough.
Sure enough, yep. And that's the biggest thing, right? So everybody, that comfort zone that you have, hey, let me plan it out the exact perfect way, and then it'll be the right way. So for me, when the time came and the GM came into my office, my exact timeline was, hey, I'm gonna get licensed, get the stuff lined up, and then leave. Give them 2 weeks, and then leave. Right. So I told people about it. So. There's your first thing, right? So because I'm so excited about it. So the word got out. So he comes and it's a car business, and if you're not, all the way in, you're cut, right? So that was kind of the motto, understandably. However, for me, there was no fight back because what was there to fight back? It just gave me the freedom to be like, you know what? Hey, maybe it's not my exact timeline, but now I get I don't have that stress weighing me down. I can just press forward, full court, and let's go.
Love it. That's super exciting. So obviously now that's how we get to Andrew then, I would assume. Yep. Oh, so Andrew, if you could introduce yourself to the people out there, then we'll kind of get into your story real quick.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I'm Andrew Clays. I grew up around the same area as Greg over there in Mishawaka, played sports my whole life. That's what I thought. Back in the day, I thought I was going to go to college for wrestling. Had a couple knee surgeries that kind of changed that plan. And so I went off and lived in Africa for a couple years and came back, found my wife, and got it. That's how I ended up at Gates, and that's where I've been the last few years.
Love it, love it. So in the car industry for a couple years, that's where you met Andrew. Obviously, you guys like-minded, killers, very business-minded, looking to work hard and change your lives. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts when Greg comes to you and says, "Hey, I got an opportunity."
Yeah. I mean,
what was the initial reaction?
Of course, my initial reaction is, yeah, right. Like, you're nuts. Like, okay, like, tell me more. Sure. Like, I've heard this before. Okay.
The opportunity.
Opportunity. Right. And again, I didn't go to that convention, so I didn't see what he saw. Right. So I'm hearing everything secondhand. And again, obviously, as Greg said, like we've become really good friends over the years. So, that's a lot of the reason of why I was like listening kind of a little bit. It was like, okay, if like he's excited, well, that's a good friend of mine. I'll be excited for him. But good luck. That's your journey, not mine. I'm gonna stick with my plan. Again, and it was really initial reaction was like, have fun, but I'll be here to support you. I'll be here to support you, and not here to pick you up when it fails. Kind of thing.
So then what opened your ear to the opportunity then? So from completely closed off, best of luck, love you to death, wish you the best, not for me, what perked you up to it?
Well, so again, obviously, like as we talked, he kind of shared the story about his wife. I heard that story. Then I was kind of like, okay, that's interesting to me as well, because again, we live in that same world where, he was more in finance. I stuck to the sales side. So, I had some, I had some pretty good revenue coming in as well. But even then, like, I'm grinding 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And same thing. Like, again, it's like seeing the deposits and I'm like, wait a minute, like time-wise, this just ain't adding up. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And then it really was. It took me years to build up the business that I did. And it took his wife months. To get to that level. And I was like, what's going on here? Like,
I feel like it's almost insulting sometimes to people that come from other industries, whether it's real estate or car sales, or it takes so long and so much work and effort and grind to get there. Yeah. And then you look at here and it's like, okay, 20-hour study course, pass it, and and now you're unlocking this incredible income potential that someone with no sales experience can tap into.
100%.
It's almost insulting to guys like you that have worked for years to just hone your craft and become masters
100%.
At dealing with people, and you 100%. Come in here and it's like, really?
Yeah, right? Like, okay, like, that's exactly right. I thought it was like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? Because I feel like I'm doing it right, and we're making the same money here. Like, something's not adding up, So,
the way I love to look at it is, if it's the vehicle. It's all about the vehicle less than it is the driver. The driver helps, don't get me wrong. If you take, a F1 top driver and put him in an F1 car and I get to drive an F1 car, he's going to beat me. But if he takes a Camry and I'm in the F1 car, I'm gonna beat him 10 out of 10 times. He's the better driver, but I'm in the right vehicle. Right. So what excites me is when we meet F1 drivers like you guys that are over there in a Camry, and we introduce you to the F1 car, and it's just lights out.
Just off to the races.
100%. So then, what was the final step for you then to go from? Because you're all in on this now.
Yeah, 100%.
So what was that final? Because you still haven't even helped the family and seen a deposit.
Right.
So you're still on that faith a little bit. So what was the final step for you to jump?
Yep, absolutely. So again, after having conversations with Greg, and then his wife, that obviously helped. But then it was like, he, again, you and I were able to get to have dinner together, and again we started chatting, and then it was like, as I started peppering you with questions for 2 hours. I was asking, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna make this guy not like me.
Why so few questions?
Yeah, that's right. Well, and again, and even getting other people on the phone that are have had some success, and again, I wouldn't call myself like trying to belittle somebody or pull them down, but as much kind of like Greg, like I'm trying to find like this, where does it make sense? Like I'm trying to find every avenue, because again, one thing I've learned about myself is I have to see the picture. I have to see the vision almost laid out in front of me, drawn on a piece of paper to say this is how it works, and then 5 more times for it to make sense. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to just do it once. And again, because I coming from what I did, like I had to create that on my own. And again, a lot of it, and again, not to sound arrogant, but like I created things or did things that most people don't do in the car business of creating a business within a business, and then, and I had the mindset of, I'm going to grow this empire and I'm going to sit here and enjoy it, sit and build this castle up. And I had a guy that when I first got in, he's like, you get to pick who you want to be. Do you want to be the guy that grinds and pounds the pavement for 30 years, successful, but has to be there every day to make money? Or do you want to be the guy that's working the networking side, and then again, you're taking naps in your office 30 years from now while somebody else is working your deals for you, right?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you still
I can't get over 30 years. You keep saying 30 years.
Right? But at the end of the day, the one thing I've always said is like, to be there, to be successful, you have to be there. I mean, there's no way around it. Like I've always said, I envied guys that, like my mortgage loan officer, it's like, you can make as much money as I can, and if not more, and do it from your underwear. Like I can't do that. That's just not a thing. So that was, as I'm picking your brain and asking questions and seeing that kind of thing, I'm like, I'm seeing the lifestyle change. As Greg said, I'm seeing what we're also promoting, and again, one thing I really like that you always say is, you say we're leaving people better off than we found them every time, and that's 100% true. Again, it's just again, nobody's ever going to get upset, like you said, in their darkest times,
100%.
getting something that's going to change their life, and it's something, again, you kind of have to navigate that differently in different industries. And so as soon as I kind of picked you apart, picked your brain, asked you a ton of questions, peppered you, and it was like I just couldn't find the problem. I couldn't find the reason that was like, again, you're doing everything I'm doing, but better, and doing it faster and stronger. It's like, part of me said, why am I in such a slow car?
Yeah.
Why am I in the slowest car?
100%.
Trying to race the same race.
100%. Yeah. And I love that FFL. There's been so many people that have paved the way.
Yeah.
So when you do find those sharp people like you guys, and so many people that it's lights out at that
Absolutely.
point. It's lights out. So
Absolutely.
that's super exciting. And one thing I love so much about talking to guys like you about this opportunity that are skeptical is because I was skeptical.
Yeah, right.
We look for the catch because we're raised, and it's just embedded in us that there's always a catch. If it seems too good to be true, it is.
It usually is.
Yeah, 100%. And so when the only catch, because there is a catch here, it's hard work. Let's be real.
100%. Yeah.
But if that doesn't scare you, it's mind blowing. But that's what this is, and I love that I don't have to remember. Oh, what did I tell Greg? Because I got to make sure I tell Andrew the exact same thing and the exact same story. Because if I get it wrong, they're gonna find it. Like, no, I just shoot you guys straight.
Yep.
Tell you what I've done and how I've screwed everything up. And then hey, come on in and show me how it's done.
Right.
And then we all win together, and it's incredible. And you get to build your own business, your own brand. But instead of saying, hey, 30 years,
well,
it's like, hey, give it 30 days and you'll see it.
What was so cool was like, I was even on a different journey than Greg was in this business, because again, I didn't, one of the things that somebody had told me when I first got in the business was, I said, he did it 17 years. And I was like, hey, what would you have done differently? That was the one question I asked him. I said, what would you have done differently than what you did? Because he did everything from sales manager, finance director, all the way up. And he said, Andrew, I'm going to tell you, the one thing that I wish I would have done differently is I wish I would have never moved up. Because once you move up, you're never satisfied. You're always chasing the next title. You're chasing more money. You're chasing more time. You're just chasing everything. Yeah. There's never satisfaction. He goes, if I could tell you, being the salesman, being on the ground level, you'll have the most freedom. You'll make more money running your own business than someone else's. So that's the mentality I took, was like, okay, I'm going to build a business. I'm going to build a brand. I'm going to be the guy that is just completely networking. Don't have to worry about people coming to the door, because it's just constant people referring, and that's the referral business, right?
Yeah.
And so it was awesome, you know what I mean? But then again, seeing this business, and it's like, I can do that same thing whenever I want. Don't have to work Saturdays for the rest of my life. It was funny because I talked to my marketing guy, because I hired a marketing team thinking I was running a business. He was super skeptical at first, and he was like, why would you? He goes, Andrew, like, you're leaving a legacy that nobody's done, that barely any people have done with where you're at. Why are you gonna give that up? Like, you literally are building you're trailblazing the way for others to do that. And I said, and my one response was, I said, I'll give up my legacy for 30 years of Saturdays back. I just will. I give that up so that way I can see my family, and I don't want to be that guy that's FaceTiming my child at 8 p.m. at night on the showroom floor. So that was humongous. Was the lifestyle, what we're promoting, obviously the finances come into all that. It was just kind of all encompassing, seeing that, and it's like, again, it's the lifestyle that comes with it. It was awesome. So.
That's huge. Yeah. I love it. Appreciate you guys sharing, opening up to us. That's incredible. I just can't stop thinking about the tens of thousands of car salesmen out there like you guys.
Yeah.
Super sharp, super motivated, and they don't know.
You have to
don't know.
You have to take that risk. So that's the biggest thing. You have to understand, like, hey, I'm comfortable here, and you can stay in that path, and you can stay in there for 30 years.
Right.
You push yourself to embrace that uncomfortableness, and it's the most, me and him have both said it's the most freeing thing that you'll do for yourself, and you think it's going to be, oh my gosh, it's going to be so uncomfortable.
Right.
It's not really that uncomfortable. You make yourself understand, like, hey, those are the moments. It may be uncomfortable in the second that you do it, but once you get into it, you're fine.
Yeah, love it.
Nobody likes to feel like a beginner at anything. But again, the nice thing that I'm finding out so quickly, that was another question that I had for you, was who's going to teach me to do something I've never done? I'm already, I don't want to say mastered, but learning to hone this craft of this. I really want to restart this and like feel like I'm a beginner again, because that's not fun. Nobody likes to feel like that. But it's like now, the thing I loved about it, which I found just, again, almost just affirmed why this made sense, was seeing all the training calls you guys do, the annual conference that you do, having the person above you help you. But it's not even just the person above you, it's the person above them and above them and above them. That's like, hey, I'm going to here to guide you and coach you. And it's the team aspect. It's like, we're here to win all together. Whereas where we came from was, it's you.
Yeah, good luck, figure it out.
It's it reminded me so much of wrestling, where it's like, you're on the mat by yourself, you're on a team, but it's your own world that you're living in. Now we're playing basketball, and everybody wins if one person wins.
Yeah,
and
that's
I love
huge.
it.
Love it, guys. Love it. All right, let's talk goals, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I know you guys haven't even written a policy yet.
Yeah, right.
But we're coming into this thing with big goals.
Sure.
What are you hoping for here in 2023? Obviously, we just got into March. Today's March 1st. Sure. We got the whole year ahead of us. Where do you guys see this thing going for the rest of this year? What are some goals that you're putting in place for yourselves?
So we both made some personal goals. Yep. One of the goals that Family First Life puts out there is that Hall of Fame goal, and we both
400 families.
400 families helped, and that's something that we both are pressing forward to. That's a big goal that we want to achieve.
Yep.
The next biggest thing for us as a team is we want to be able to share this with as many people. Right, so we want to be able to bring on and help and coach and really make it a team thing with wherever that may be. And it doesn't have to be people local; it could be people anywhere.
Yeah, and that's crazy about this business.
And awesome. You can do that. And that's what's so cool is,
you know,
Chelsea's person was Mindy, and Mindy lives in Ohio, right? Yeah. So we didn't meet her or see her until we were in convention in Miami. That was the first time Chelsea's even met her in person. Yeah. So that's what we want to be able to provide. The technology that allows us to do that is so cool that these days that we can anybody can be from anywhere, and we can help, and that's what we want to do. So we want to grow a huge, massive team, and then just be that support.
Love it. Love it. So Andrew, for those out there that maybe relate to your guys' story, maybe they like you or both of you, or they feel like they relate to your energy, maybe your story of grinding and being skeptical, but uncomfortable enough to make a move. How do they get in touch with you if they want to join what you're doing and be a part of the team that you guys are building? Yeah,
absolutely. So you obviously can find us on Facebook, reach out to us via cell phone, via text.
Okay. And what's your number?
Yep. It's 574-807-2486. You can, again, reach out to me via text or phone call. Or obviously you can put in, if you find us, go on inception.com, right? And you can find us that way and put an application, and let's get rolling, guys, and let's build a team. So.
Yeah, 100%. Appreciate you guys. Look forward to a big year.
Yep.
Let's kill it.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, Matt.
Thanks, everybody. That's been another episode of the RoadMap podcast. Greg and Andrew, you better watch out for them. It's going to be a big year for them.